Welcome to Keeping Athena Company. My name is Athena Camden. I'm a stand-up comedian, writer and new mum. Being a parent is great, but I do crave adult conversation every now and again. To fix that, I invite one of my cool friends around to keep my company. This time, Sinta Tantra comes around to enjoy fried plantain, avocado and mango salsa in my mum's kitchen. We talk about how our backgrounds influence us as creatives, Crazy Rich Asians and how much of a genius film it is, food, coconuts particularly, and how people who know nothing about modern art can get into it. Sinta is a ludicrously talented artist. She really knows her stuff, and this is the perfect episode for people who love art or want to learn how to love it. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about it. I'm going to ask you to enjoy it. So, welcome to my kitchen.
Hi.
Internationally renowned artist. What else are you?
I am an artist. Who am I? I'm a Barnet girl.
You're a Barnet girl? What does being a Barnet girl mean?
Well, we grew up in sort of the same sort of part of London.
We did, yeah. We didn't grow up far from each other. We didn't know this at the time, though.
And no, I think it's nice hanging out with you because, we share a sort of background.
Yeah, let's talk a bit more about that. Let's talk about how we met, actually. I made a note. I was like, we've got to talk about how we met because we met whilst you were painting a bridge.
We were. I think I remember first meeting you, and I thought you were a bit scary because you had you had these headphones on, these big headphones, and you had a mini disc player.
Oh wow! You're aging us, Sinta. You're really aging us with this. Yes, I do remember them. Yeah.
They're kind of so old now. But yeah, you had them in the set and playing like, I don't know, like maybe some loud hip-hop music or something.
Oh my God.
And we were about to go to a meeting because we were going to have a meeting in a primary school.
Right, yes.
And I met you in the waiting area and I was like, who's this chick? We had like rap music in a primary school.
People are learning about my past life here.
I was like, oh shit.
I'm really pleased that I scared you. And then at what point did you stop being scared of me?
No, I'm still scared of you now.
So we, just for the listeners who don't know us, we met because I used to work for a council and I used to have to do really weird projects. And one of the weird projects I had to do was get a bridge painted. And Sinta's an artist. And we crossed paths through a contact in the council who turned out to be a mutual friend stroke colleague. And that's how we met. And Sinta painted this bridge for the council. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm highly confident Sinta didn't know what she was doing either. But we got it painted in the end. And actually, if anyone listening to this podcast is based in London, you can see it. It's in Chalk Farm.
It's in Chalk Farm. It's in Camden. What's funny is it was my very first public art commission. And I've done quite a few now. I think it was just quite unique how we ended up being friends after kind of a project like that.
And the funny thing is, I wasn't a comedian when you met me. I was just a bog standard project manager working in local government. Yeah. So that's why you know me as some intimidating person with big old headphones listening to hip hop. Since I met me in what I will call a phase of my life named my drinking days. So you've seen me go from a directionless kind of ruffian.
I think I always thought you were quite interesting and funny, and I think what I liked about you were quite witty. You sort of like assessed the situation. You were quite Machiavellian.
That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
So I just remember, I think you sort of saw the situation and saw like ways in which to just sort of like, tick the boxes and do what you need to do, and you're quite good with people.
I'm very into finding the path of least resistance to do things. So I prefer that to Machiavellian.
But I think it takes a Machiavellian mind to think like that.
Anyway, this podcast isn't about me as much as I'd love it to be about me. It's about you. I think the reason I asked you to this podcast is because, like, I know a lot of comedians, but you're not a comedian, you're an artist. And I didn't really know much about the world of art before I met you. And then I realised art is great because you've got these things called First Thursdays. You can rock up to art galleries.
Private years, yes.
Yeah. Tell everybody what happens at First Thursdays.
Well, First Thursdays was a thing that happened quite a few years ago. It's slightly out of fashion now.
Oh no.
Sorry to tell this to you. But it used to happen in particular streets in London which had lots of galleries, and every first Thursday of the month they would open and have drinks. I think the reason why it's become slightly out of fashion is because I think all the galleries clocked onto the fact that people just coming there to drink. And so they stopped doing First Thursdays, and well, they still have private reviews. There's a bit of filtering system because you need to be on the mailing list, and you have to perhaps engage with the art, or at least pretend to look interesting.
I engaged with the art.
But you were really
yeah, because I think I always liked art, but I never had an access route to actually enjoy like the art industry as it currently is. So I didn't know any artists. I didn't know you could go to galleries to look at art. I just always consumed my art in museums.
Yeah.
So art for me was always historical and not necessarily modern. And when it was modern, it was just like when there's like a Turner Prize or something.
And it became sort of like a pop celebrity, pop idol judging competition.
Precisely, yeah. And something that was quite hard to access, and also like theoretically, like if you look at someone like Tracy Emin, like it can be quite hard to understand why what she does is art if you haven't been consuming modern art for ages. If you just open a newspaper one day and just see a bed that's not unmade, you'll think
condoms and
you'll think I didn't know my bedroom was worth millions. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's really the concept of contemporary art, I think, does need sort of help. But I think the people that once you sort of start looking at things in a different way and questioning things in a different way, and that's what these things make you do, because they make you sort of look in the world in a different way. And that could sort of infiltrate throughout your life. Whether it's a painting or Tracy Emin's unmade bed, it could somehow influence your life and just the decisions that you make. So, for example, it could be as small as, like, I remember one of my students coming up to me in an adult education college saying, oh, you know, I look at Christmas cards entirely in a different way now. So maybe some students kind of just becoming much more involved in going to galleries because they've had someone explain to them and point out the things that you should look for and the things that you... Also, it's kind of coaxing people how they feel about the work when they stand in front of it. Because you don't have to like it.
Yes, that's true. Because we're happy to watch a film and be like, that film was trash. Or we're happy to read a book and be like, this book was the worst book ever. And it is okay to look at art and say, I don't understand it. I don't like the palette. It makes me feel itchy. Because some art does give you like a physical reaction.
I think sometimes that's kind of the best art, when it does give you a physical reaction.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make... it's... We are bodies, and as bodies we respond to things, and it kind of makes you think about the world in a different way, especially now with all the technology, and we sort of see everything through screens. And so I think being reconnected to the physical world and in some sort of way is good.
I want to talk about being a fine artist from Barnet.
Bali via Barnet.
Yeah, Bali via Barnet. At what point did you decide you want to be an artist? And did you find coming from Barnet being a particular barrier in terms of feeling integrated into the art world, or maybe finding access points into it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think I always wanted to be kind of successful or do something
with
my life. What art enabled me to do, it gave me a blank canvas. I could have gone to music, for example, but the sort of music I was studying when I was a child and growing up was classical music.
Right.
So it was about playing music that other people had written. Whereas going into the art class, you had a blank canvas in front of you. I mean, you could possibly say that about English, but most of the time we're reading about other people's books.
Yes.
So I think art was the only subject which enabled me to kind of just really start thinking about what I wanted to say to the world.
Right, and you obviously became a contemporary kind of abstract artist as opposed to like one of those people in Leicester Square that like draw cartoon versions. So what drew you to the world of that expression?
I think figurative art, I think it could be seen as problematic, because as soon as you put a figure onto a canvas, you have to decide what race it is, what gender it is, whether they're young or old. And so you have kind of a lot of questions like that in terms of a narrative. I think what I wanted to do was sort of get away from that narrative and wanted to be more physical with it, because I use a lot of colour and shapes, and it's sort of interesting how colour and shape is it's universal. I mean, everyone responds to colour. Yeah. Even if they're colourblind, their perception of whatever, black and white is, they're still responding to it.
And they respond differently. Like
they respond differently.
Like you're wearing something blue today.
Yes.
How do I know the way you see blue is the same way that I see blue?
Well, it won't be, and that's the kind of wonderful thing about it. And that's the same with like philosophy, like how you interpret questions.
Yeah.
Your questions, or how you see something is entirely different from the person next door to you. Even though you might have lived exactly the same experiences, your perceptions of things are totally different.
Yeah, I've been thinking about your art career as it's grown since I met you, and I found a parallel between your art career and my comedy career. Because when I first met you, you were all like palm trees, bright pink. You're really keen. Yeah, you're really keen to talk about your heritage as an Indonesian, and that's very much how comedians act. So I was obviously a black female comedian. Most of my jokes in 2012, 2013 were basically framed around where I come from. And now my jokes have changed to access parts of my identity that aren't related to my gender and my race. And I see that in your art too, because your art used to be tropical, right? It used
to be very pink. And I think part of that was sort of crying out for attention.
Yes, that's exactly how comedy works too, because you're often in a space where you're in a male-dominated space, and often you don't see many people who come from where you come from. So you just kind of think, look at me! Not that you want to be a spokesperson, but it influences the way you do your art in a way that you've got to get out of your system, I think.
I think if you're a minority or struggling against something or struggling to be heard, I think one of the things that people do, one of the strategies, and particularly what I did and you did, was probably to emphasise and to shout more about your identity, because there wasn't anyone listening. And I think I remember during my student days at the Royal Academy, I remember one of the tutors, looking back at it now, said to me, because I painted this entire room bright pink. And sort of it was quite very decorative and, had lots of references to Bali and tropical and palm trees and sunsets and fun. And it was there was like excess of it. And I think I just remember him saying, it's a bit desperate, isn't it?
It's harsh, but actually, sometimes you think you put yourself in a box without realising it, and you have to put yourself out of the box, but it's hard.
Well, I think part of it, looking back now, I could probably say that it's probably quite good to establish a box in itself.
Yeah.
Because without establishing that, then you're starting with nothing.
Yes, and identity is important.
Identity is important, and what's interesting, like, I love the fact that more and more people are speaking about it.
Yes.
Especially, like, women.
You walk past a public art a lot in life. Sometimes you notice it, sometimes you don't. You don't realise what goes into making it. I remember delivering a pizza to you at like midnight. But for some reason, we decided on the design that had to be projected onto the bridge. And then it's like, you can only project stuff at night.
And it was summer, and so it was like only from 9 p.m.
Right.
Once that got dark, yeah.
Yeah, I think back to those days, and I'm pretty sure health and safety was a thing in those days. We're not that old, but we just thought, we'll get away with it.
Also, the thing is, that's what you have to do. I think you have to kind of sometimes break. I mean, that was a massive rule to break. I think I'm totally fine with breaking some small rules.
Yeah, and
get what I need to get.
The real issue was the sort of, now we've got the Me Too movement, so we're kind of more aware about being safe from strange guys. Yeah. But I remember you getting harassed whilst you were painting this bridge, and I was thinking to myself, I don't know how to do this project.
I remember getting my bag nicked.
Oh yeah, your bag got nicked. Then you got these students to help you. Then one of the students had a rucksack fall over onto the railway tracks beneath.
Oh God, yeah.
I've never had a network rail pick up the phone so quickly in their life. I was like, you need to put me through to someone, there's a bag on the track.
Did you actually know the number? Like,
yeah.
The hotline?
So I had a number for network rail, and I called them, and normally it's like, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And when I finally got through to someone, I was like, bag on track, need to speak to someone now. Never got something so quickly in my entire life. So that was interesting. Then you had that guy, because your surname's Tantra, people associate it with sex for some reason. You had that creepy guy come up to you, and you...
I totally blocked all of this out of my mind.
Yeah, I remember it because I remember sweating every night thinking, I'm going to get someone killed. Graffiti isn't worth it. The prevention of graffiti is not worth what it's going to cost us. Hey, even my daughter's appalled with my project management. But that was basically, I would describe that as my first project.
Really?
Yeah,
that was. So that was your first project, my first public.
That was commission. Yeah. So that's
we didn't know
what we were doing. No.
We did quite well.
We did really well, and I haven't been there for ages. I wonder if it's still there.
It's graffiti quite badly now.
Oh, okay.
But I just think kind of maybe the council's obviously gone through lots of changes, and it's not of importance anymore. Because I guess back then when I just graduated, it was New Labour, and there was a lot of emphasis of arts and communities.
Yes.
And there were arts officers pretty much in every borough.
Yes.
In London, but...
What do you think the impact is of just councils not prioritising art
Yeah, I think the bigger impact, but I think it's probably more the city as a whole, is how developers have really overtaken how the city looks and functions.
So, developers are taking over public art?
No, well, more the case that developers have more of a say in what goes on to the city.
Right.
Because they're building flats and properties, but that, I guess some of the money the council, whoever's making, that could go back into the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Or sort of make people move into the area, which is good for all businesses.
So I forgot to tell you at the beginning, you get a choice of having hot sauce or no sauce. You've gone for some hot sauce.
I've already opened it.
I've already opened it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty hot. That's as hot as it gets.
I am Asian.
Oh, you are Asian. You're the hottest kind of Asian.
Tell me how your mum made this.
How did she make it? She boiled garlic and Scotch bonnet peppers in like a bit of water, and then when they were cooked through, she shredded them up and added the water.
So she cooked them whole?
Yeah, cooked them whole, yeah. And then when they were cooked through, she cut them up and then added them to a jar and then topped up the jar with... Is that oil or vinegar? I can't remember what that one is. It tastes vinegary.
Whoa, it's really spicy.
It's really spicy.
It's
People
really
get
good.
brave in my kitchen. Oh, it's good.
I think my Scotch bonnet is really spicy.
Oh, no.
Please,
Do you use some water?
It's really good.
Okay.
No, I like it. Yeah, I can make like you can put like a Southeast Asian twist on it and put lemongrass. around it.
Lemongrass, yeah.
And lime. Yummy.
Did you watch Crazy Rich Asians?
I did.
Wasn't it brilliant?
It was brilliant.
Yeah, I love the end. I love the way the woman who had the man that cheated on her.
Gemma Chan.
Yeah, I love the way she dealt with that situation. I was like, that is exactly how you deal with it. You get that guy out of your life. Because most movies would have them like have her beg him to come back or have her fall apart, and she was like, actually, this guy's a burden. I'm cutting him out of my life. He's like a rucksack,
like an expense that
Yeah.
you don't need anymore.
Exactly. It's like a cleaner.
Yeah.
You're like, I can clean this myself.
No, it was a really great movie, and I think it was really fun because I saw it in Kuala Lumpur. Had a show in Kuala Lumpur, and I saw it there, and it just all made, because most of it's shot in Malaysia.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, no. Really.
Oh, it's shot in Malaysia. Sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so most of it's actually shot in Malaysia.
Wow. Okay.
Which is interesting because I think most people, in terms of like tourism, most Brits would probably go to Thailand,
Right. Yeah.
Bali, perhaps. Vietnam for sure.
Maybe Singapore.
Singapore, maybe for shopping, Hong Kong, but yeah, they don't know much about Malaysia, but it's
Yeah.
really beautiful country.
And people get really like confused by the fact that an Indian can say I'm Malaysian and then a Chinese person can say I'm Malaysian, and it blows people's minds, because I get that as an Indian Caribbean person.
Okay.
It blows people's minds, so it's even like more confusing for Malaysians, for British people, because they don't know the history
Yeah.
of like the sun didn't set on the Empire, guys. They weren't lying. It literally didn't set. It was everywhere.
Oh, talk about the food in Malaysia. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because of the different sort of cultures.
Yeah, it's true.
Really, really good. So you get really good Indian, really good, more Malaysian Nyonya cuisine, they call it.
I went to see Crazy Rich Asians when I was pregnant, and the food. I loved the plot, and I loved like the way the characters worked out, and yeah, I loved the film, but the food scenes. My gosh! And this child, while she was in me, was jumping up and down.
When she saw the food.
Yeah, I'm sure she could sense, or she could probably sense that I was salivating. Oh god, the food scenes were amazing, and I don't eat meat, and I was like, I'm going to eat those frog legs, or whatever they were, or octopus, or whatever they were serving. Oh my!
Southeast Asians are like really, really into food.
Yeah.
So when my mother rings me up and says, "How are you?" rather than sort of say, "How are you?" she says, "What did you eat?"
That's what my mum does. Like my mum cooks every day. She's always like, "Oh, I'm going to take this out the freezer. I'm going to cook this." And I think I'm 37 years old.
But it's like the main topic of the day. And then everything else sort of like food is totally important. It's sort of wow, we all kind of congregate meats. Any kind of business meeting would always be done with like food.
Yeah.
Even like private views, we like somewhere like in Malaysia, you wouldn't have alcohol served.
Right.
You'd have tea and food.
So it's more cultural.
Although, yeah, so for my opening, I had the most amazing curry puffs.
Was this in Bali?
In Kuala Lumpur.
Oh, Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
Okay, you had the most amazing
Curry puffs.
Oh, curry puffs.
Yeah.
Do you know what? They sound delicious. They sound delicious. Did you make them?
No, we
You
ordered
brought them in, yeah.
That's the thing about Asia, like food's so cheap and so good and really yummy and just feels like somebody's mother making in the kitchen.
Oh wow! So in Crazy Rich Asians, the big communal activity was making dumplings.
Yeah.
So what's the equivalent in Balinese culture?
In Balinese culture, well, when we have big festivals and ceremonies, there's always satay.
What's that?
It's barbecued meat.
Right.
You probably have had it here, chicken satay.
Oh, satay. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. When you said the way you said it, it sounds like a different
really
word,
exotic.
but you said it with the proper accent. Not satay.
And the satay you get here is quite. I don't know. They often use like chicken breast, don't they?
Yeah.
But actually, you should be using other parts of the chicken, like thighs and sort of all parts of the chicken.
And it should be barbecued because normally it's like a fried or a stewed kind of meat.
Definitely should be barbecued.
Yeah.
Sometimes they mince it. You eat fish, right?
I eat fish.
Okay,
Yes.
so in Bali we have this really beautiful fish satay, but it's like minced fish
with
like chilies and spices and lemongrass, etc. Coconut.
Oh my gosh.
And then you put it around. Oh god, they want. It's not a shish kebab, but like a minced kebab.
Yeah.
Which you see, but rather
like kofta, they call it kofta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's similar to kofta, but it's with minced fish and really delicious. And you always cook it with barbecue, and you would barbecue it with husks of coconut.
Oh my gosh.
Comes. But what's interesting when you asked me about sort of the dumpling making is that Balinese or many other cultures as well, it's very segregated into the jobs of women and jobs of men.
Yeah.
So all the men would be doing quite a lot of the food.
Yeah.
They would be making, with their knives, they'll be making satay sticks from bamboo.
Yeah.
They'd all get together, go around to each other's houses and make these satay sticks. And then they would, sorry for those that are vegetarian, slaughter the meat, the pig, the cow. Usually it's pig.
Yeah.
And then they would cook it.
Yeah.
So that's all the men's duties. The women do all the decorative offerings you might have seen.
Yeah.
Of images of Bali. So their flower offerings, basket, sort of mini basket weaving. What else? Yeah, just sort of like a lot of the preparation for all the rituals for praying in the temple. And so the men do all the food and the women do all the sort of things for inside the temple.
See, that's a slightly different division of labour. So being someone of Indian heritage, it's like women in the kitchen. Like, so our equivalent of dumpling making is probably making rotis, because that's a real factory. When you need to make a load of them, all the women get in the kitchen and someone's doing the dough, someone's rolling it out, someone's got it on the cooker, cooking, and then someone has to clap them. I won't describe what that is, but basically once you finish making a roti, you've got to do a bit of clapping with it to make it fluffy. And that's what the women do.
But on a day-to-day level, it would be women.
Yeah. But on the big celebrations, the men do the cooking.
But it's a bit like here, right? It's always men by the barbecue.
Yeah, that is true.
Fire
fire and like it's a caveman thing. I think men and barbecues. Yeah. What other foods really remind you of like your heritage, and what would you remind you of your childhood? Coconut.
And what's interesting is like coconut's very fashionable now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I think where was I in Waitrose or something, or no, Marks and Spencer's, and they have coconut.
Yeah.
But then it's got a kind of faux, like a fake ring pull on top of the actual real coconut.
Oh my god, Babylon, please stop this nonsense. All right, it's a coconut. It's nature's vessel. You don't need to add a ring pull to it. Oh my days.
A ring pull on top of this coconut, and I think what's really interesting, I don't think people in this country don't really know what coconut looks like. It's actually green.
Yeah, it's green and the brown husk is on the inside, yeah.
And so people, when they think of coconuts, they can think of coconut stalls and chais and they're brown. And I don't know, because coconut water is very fashionable and I drink it sometimes, but it just doesn't taste like the real thing. It tastes really strange to me.
Coconut water from a coconut is just like nature's Lucozade. It's delicious.
It's so delicious. I think sometimes it depends if it's a young coconut or old coconut. Sometimes it has, I don't know if it's alcohol, but there's something in it that makes it kind of taste a bit alcoholic.
And I went to Ghana when I was 18 for the first time, so I experienced a lot of these things like as quite an older person. So it was all quite like amazing to me and eye-opening. The soft, wet flesh of a coconut is like it's just like nature's meat. Oh my, it just melts in your mouth, and it's really filling and delicious.
I haven't tasted the one in Marks and Spencer's, but
I'm not sure that ringful.
I'm sure the ringful doesn't really help.
No, I would say any fruit you find with a ringful on it is not a natural piece of fruit. That's been altered. That's been genetically altered in some way.
I wonder what the marketing conversation was like when they were sort of brainstorming.
You have to think your consumers are idiots. You have to think, you know what, these people drink cans of Coke. How do you get them drinking coconut water? Put a rimple on it.
Yeah.
You know, put a champagne cork in it.
Yeah.
You know, they're all alcoholics, but they'll drink this if you've got to use a corkscrew to get into it. That's ridiculous. You said something really interesting earlier. You said it's almost like a privilege to kind of like get to go back to Bali and Indonesia and South Asia. And I've always described my heritage as a privilege, not the kind of white privilege that gets you more money and like keeps you safe on the streets at night, but the kind of privilege that means you already have your eyes open to sort of the truth of the world. So you know what a coconut tastes like, or you know different foods already, or like fusion cooking and fusion foods make the best meals. And so coming from a diverse background means that's just natural to you. What am I trying to say?
I know what you're saying. I think but you only appreciate it when you're older, right?
Yes, I think so.
So I did an assembly last week at my old primary school in Camden called Belle, and I remember, because I was actually born in America.
Yes.
So I came...
Like Boris Johnson.
Was he born in America?
Yeah, he was.
I'm sure. And Donald Trump.
Yeah, you could be president of America.
So I came to primary school with an American accent.
Right.
On my very first day of school, I just remember all the kids making fun of me because they just thought I spoke.
Because you're in Barnet and like, you're not from around there, are you?
Yeah, I think they thought I was faking it.
Right. No, people would, because you think American accents are quite fashionable.
Especially then in the 80s, like it was all about kind of Americana. Like, I just remember everything American was kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember kind of going in, crying, and I remember this dinner lady, or teacher, might have been teacher, picking me up and holding me and sort of saying it's okay. But I think, and that really, I think about that a lot, because I think that, you know, when we're younger, we think our differences are sort of the hurdles.
Yeah.
And our barriers. And I don't know what it is, but when you get older, you sort of try to, I guess, be at one with them, and then you turn it around to your advantage.
Yeah.
So that takes a while to do, obviously. It takes a lot of confidence and belief and trying and not trying. But I think what you said about kind of having the experience of different cultures, I might not have appreciated it then when I was young, but when you get older, I think that's also a reason why I like working in different countries and travelling, because behind all of that is kind of the art, the work, and even though we might have differences in how we communicate or how we do business, underneath that there is a shared language of visual stuff. Yeah,
no, there is, and it's really interesting. Like we start off like being very overtly aware of our identity when we start doing art, and then we kind of move away from that. Do you feel yourself going back to your roots now as an artist?
I feel like it's always quite good to be on the edge of things, whether it's I call myself a painter, but sometimes my work goes into three-dimensional scales with straightforward objects and sculptures to installations on architectural buildings.
Yeah.
So this idea of being on the edge of different cultures, as well as edge of the themes that you're kind of exploring in your work, I think is really important, because it's that edge that kind of makes you different from the other person.
So I'm a comedian. I'm also ignorant. Let's pretend I'm ignorant. Okay,
let's say.
What do you recommend that I do to start to explore the world of contemporary art?
I would say start with what you know.
Right.
So say, okay, let's do this together. Okay. What do you know, Athena?
I know you. Okay. Let's say I don't know you. I know all the famous people. So I know the guy who does pottery.
Grayson Perry.
Yes, I know Grayson Perry. I know the famous toilet. The famous urinals in the Tate. Yes, I know Duchamps. I know Picasso. Yeah. I know Dali. See, I know loads. Yeah. I know the Mona Lisa.
Well, okay, let's start off with the pottery guy.
Okay,
he's a Londoner.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he from Barnet too?
He is not from Barnet. He's still from North London, though.
Okay.
From Stowe.
Big up. Well, yeah, the Stowe. He's 17.
God, he's 17. And I would say, like, he's actually quite a good example to pick because there's actually lots of media about him, and he does a lot of talks and lectures.
Right.
So he did quite a famous series on the Reef lectures in
Okay.
BBC, Radio 4, and he's really very eloquent.
Yes.
How he sort of like, so I mean, even just Googling and listening to how artists talk
Right.
will give you much more of an insight than, I don't know, reading a press release or reading an article.
Sure.
And, you know, like you mentioned, Duchamp's Tate, urinal.
Yeah.
That's, I think, somewhere.
It's in the Tate, yeah, because I mentioned it because I went to the Tate and I it's a very famous piece. And I wasn't aware it was in the Tate, and I was trying to explain to the person I was with, this is a really famous piece of art, and he was like, it's a toilet, and he moved on. But I thought, he's got every right to say that. He's literally got every right to be like, it's a toilet. That's the point of it. It's a loo. Yeah.
It's, I don't know how to describe it. I mean,
toilet.
Duchamp would kind of just sort of say, yeah, you're right. But at the same time, it's also, the toilet is upside down, right?
Oh, is it? Because
Yes.
I'm not aware what urinal's supposed to look like.
Well, urinal's like a particular way.
Yeah.
Purposes. And he put it upside down, so the idea of something masculine and male and of the penis turned upside down and it looks more like a vagina.
I never understood that. Okay.
But, I mean, like, you see the piece, but, like, I think it's a case of not really just looking at it for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Really looking at it. And to help you, sometimes there's podcasts, or sometimes on YouTube there's kind of information or the artist talking. And all of that really, really helps. Or even just talking to, like, I don't know if you know an artist. So I would say just start from what you know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like you have to go to this exhibition or this museum. I think start with what you're interested in and then explore that way. I'll
tell you my take on that piece. So it's a urinal when it's plugged into a wall next to other urinals are being used as one. Once you take it out and put it in a glass box and arrange it in a certain way, and obviously give it a clean because no one wants to look at it. It does become art, actually. Absolutely, because if you just see things as for their practical use, you take away a lot of, like, someone spent a long time designing the urinal. You know, someone spent a long time designing it, making it, getting it on a production line. And when you just start using things practically, you almost erase everything that's gone into make it come into existence. And that's what I look at. So when people take a practical item and say this is art, I'm like, actually, it's kind of, let's say the world ended tomorrow and it was just me and you left and we're like, God, we've got to make a urinal. How do you make one?
We won't need.
We won't need one. But in anticipation of
a tree.
There might be a guy that survived the meteorite. Like, how do you make one? I always think that, like, if I was the last person on Earth, the Earth would be screwed. I can't make anything. I can make roti. It's about it.
But maybe that's fine, because with a population of, like, say, I don't know, hundreds, you won't need kind of
urinals. Yeah, that's right? True. That was a bad analogy. This is why I need you to discuss art with. So basically, if anyone wants to get into art, it's basically think of what you know and then research them and then listen to how they talk about their work. And then once you've done that, venture out and have a look at it. And with that information and that knowledge in your brain, use that to process it, as well as your visceral reaction to what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's a very good way of missing it.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh.
I think a lot of exhibitions and museums have a lot of public art programs now. So, like, there's often like you've got children.
Yeah.
There's often workshops for children.
And
toddlers. You can bring maybe to the museum. There's I think babies love museums.
And babies do, and I like museums because they're very accessible.
Yeah.
So you can take your buggy, but there's places the music. Anyone who's got a family who's listening, you want something to do for the day, go to a gallery or a museum because they're really accessible. They're full of other babies, so which I know my baby likes because she either makes friends or enemies. But both those things are quite distracting. So as long as the child's distracted, that's good. And at the same time, it's quite an adult thing to do, so you get a bit of your sanity back.
Oh God, that must be
it's great because so you're out with baby, but you're
Baby Shark can you take?
There's actually I'm still not over Baby Shark. I love it. Whatever, it's crack for the ears. I really like Baby Shark. So museums and galleries are good. So before we end, what's the one thing you would like listeners who have never really enjoyed or understood contemporary art to do after listening to this?
Thing. Like, don't expect it to do anything.
Right.
you have to be the active person.
Oh,
so
I like
rather
it.
than like the object doing something to you or doing something functional, like a urinal, what can you bring as a viewer?
Okay.
And that puts you on the spot.
So the viewer completes the art.
The viewer is almost without the viewer, there wouldn't be the art.
I'm going to end that there. That's a beautiful way to end the podcast. I've been listening to this. I'm so intrigued by you. Where can I find you? How can I find more about your work?
So I have a website, sintatantra.com. You can follow me on Instagram. I've got a few more upcoming projects in Berlin and South Korea.
Oh, that's fantastic. Sinta, you're genuinely one of the most talented people I know.
Oh.
You are. I'm fascinated by your work. Thank you for coming round. I hope you enjoyed your plantain and mango and avocado and your hot sauce. Yeah. Thank you for coming round to keep my company.
Thank you.
So that was keeping Athena company. I can't believe she was afraid of me when she first met me, but notice how I was wearing big headphones back in 2006. I am way ahead of my time. That was keeping Athena company. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.